Suns back in action tonight against the Memphis Grizzlies. That'll end this 4-game road trip coming out of the All-Star break. Right now they're 1-2. This certainly on paper is the toughest of the 4 games. Doesn't mean that they can't win it, but it's been a battle. We were talking about this earlier, Wolf, and just what you expect from some of these games at this point. You had a story in your pre-show email talking about, sort of the view of the Suns, and one anonymous NBA executive saying, quote, Phoenix, which is wild to say, they look like they can't stand being around each other, unquote. And
oh, good.
That's not great.
Yeah.
That's a counter.
And this is something we've been talking about all season long, really, is just the locker room and how something is happening inside the locker room. And when I talk about the locker room based on earnings, I don't mean it's physically inside there. I'm talking about it's the construction of the team and the personalities that are in that locker room and the chemistry that is in that locker room. And not just the locker room, of course, but on the team bus, on the team plane, at the hotel, with the coaching staff as well. It's a combination of all of that, and it's in the ether. It is. It's stuff like leadership that you can't necessarily see all the time. You can't. You're not going to see it all the time. There are some times where you're out there competing in front of the entire universe, and suddenly you walk up onto somebody and you get in it. Yeah, I can understand. There's leadership that is happening out there. At the same time, the vast majority of leadership you can't see. You rarely see it.
Well, I have a couple cuts here from Bill Simmons on his podcast. He had Ryan Russillo on, and Bill Simmons is not a beat writer that covers the Phoenix Suns, obviously. But I almost feel like it's interesting to get this perspective now of somebody that maybe isn't going and watching the Suns in person every night, isn't as locked in as we all are around this city. Or if you're a Suns fan in a different city, you're following every single thing they do. Simmons follows the NBA very closely, but he was at a Suns game a couple days ago. It looks like Suns Spurs. Oh, okay, wow, he was at that one in Austin. And
Austin.
Here, I'm just going to play a couple cuts. Okay?
The end.
Yes, as you have called it, the end. Here's so Simmons was at the end then. So let's hear what he had to say.
Oh my God. I mean, we were pretty close to the bench, so I could really watch it. They weren't talking to each other. You judge certain things, like how many guys get up after a big play on the bench. What are guys doing during timeouts? What happens when a star player walks by his coach? Does he acknowledge him? Does he talk to him? Does he just kind of stomp by? Does one of the star players yell at the coach? Well, KD yelled at Bud twice during that game. There was near the end, the one of my favorites is when one of the stars, there's somebody shooting free throws at the other end, and one of the stars moves to the furthest part of the court away from everybody just to go sulk in the corner. That was KD near the end because he was so mad the way they used him in that game, and the team played like crap. They were playing all the hits, and it is not a team that seemed very happy.
Oh,
great.
Yeah.
So that's what the outside view of the Suns is.
Yeah. Oh, man. Interesting.
You want more?
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to digest what I just heard right there. Once again, yelling at a coach, define yelling. You know what I mean?
I would say take all of this with a grain of salt.
It's a noisy, It's a noisy place.
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel like you have to yell when maybe you don't.
That was a frustrating game, the Spurs game. Chris Paul was in KD's face in that game. Yeah.
And by the way, have I yelled at a coach based on it? Yeah, I have. Did I think I was going to get cut? Yes, I did. But have I yelled at a coach? Yes. Sorry. But it happens. So, I don't know. Again, it's one man's perspective.
It is. But that even that example right there underscores the scrutiny that you're under. I mean, if you're the Suns, you're underachieving so badly that people are looking for explanations, whether they're Suns fans or not. Bill Simmons is not a Suns fan. He lives in LA and he's a Celtics fan. Here's more from Simmons.
I don't think Bud was trying to get fired, but it was the kind of coaching where you were like, if that guy's trying to get fired, I would point back to that game where it's like you're just leaving Grayson Allen out there for the entire crush time and get killed by Darren Fox. It was weird. It was a team that was not on the same page in any respect and seemed unhappy. That was my takeaway leaving. For 2.5 hours, an unhappy team.
That was the first game out of the All-Star break. When if they were ever going to be happy.
Oh, my goodness. But once again, it's one man's opinion.
It is.
Just one guy's opinion right now.
These opinions don't pop up if you're not losing 8 of 10, though. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like they're not even nobody's looking for these opinions.
I'm with you on the 2 and 8 in their last 10. I'm with you on that right there. But it's the eye test, isn't it? It's when you watch this team play.
Yeah.
That's where all of a sudden the bells and the whistles start going off.
That's a great way to put it, because when you watch them play, if you just came in and watched them play the Spurs the other night, this is the game he was at, and they never even led in that game, you wouldn't even think they're a 27-30 team. You would think they're a 17-40 team. And then they have these moments where Booker and KD goes off, and you're like, oh, this is definitely a playoff team, right? Maybe a contender. But it's the eye test is the only way to really evaluate the Suns, because nothing else adds up. Here's Ryan Russillo, who was on the pod with him.
I don't really enjoy them. I looked at it last year. Remember, we kept waiting. You're like, hey, I don't care about any of the stats. And the fourth quarter stuff didn't make any sense. It was so bad, it had to be an anomaly. And that part of it's been fixed a little bit. But even with last year's injuries and guys missing games, they were 38-28 through 56. They're 27-29 now after an 8-1 start. They're bottom third in offense and defense the last month. KD's only missed 13. Booker's only missed 3. The Beal bench thing, it doesn't matter because I don't think that dude cares at all. I just don't. So they're just, they needed those 3 guys to be just top level, not to sound like a soccer analyst, and they've rarely gotten that.
Other than that, we're all good.
Okay, boys, yes. How much more can we take? That's what you have to ask yourself right now, Basinonians. I mean, how much more punishment can you really take right now? It is acute when you talk about the Phoenix Suns and the issues of the Phoenix Suns. And again, I would say tonight, by way of example, just look at the defensive end of the floor, look at rebounding on both ends of the floor, and look at careless passes that might actually happen, especially later in the game. Those 3 things tell me if a team is locked in.
Yeah.
Okay, on the defensive end of the floor, you're engaged. You are, and you're there, and you're intense, and you can actually see if a guy is locked in on the defensive end of the floor. And then rebounding, whether it's on the defensive end of the floor or offense. See if a guy is working to try to get an offensive rebound. You can see the effort that is involved on the offensive end, more so than anyone else, or anything else, I should say. Watch it on the offensive glass. Is a guy working to get himself into position to possibly, because it's a lot of work to do that. And then, do you care about the passes that you're actually trying to execute out on the floor? Or are they careless passes? Are you subjecting the ball to danger or turnover time or not? Those 3 things tell me if a guy is locked in.
Yeah. I mean, attention to details, the first thing that goes if you collectively don't believe in where you're going, right? I mean, we're seeing that. We're seeing that this season. You've brought this up a million times. Do they have the talent? Yeah, they have the talent, at least at the top.
Talent.
Could they have more talent across the board? Yeah, they could. But at the top, they have enough talent to at least be a playoff team.
Talent's not the issue.
No, and, you look at the standings and they just need one team. They only have to catch one team. Like, they're not going to catch Golden State. Golden State's starting to go off. They're not going to catch Minnesota. Those are 2 teams in the play-in right now. They're not catching them. But could they catch Dallas? I mean, Anthony Davis, who knows if he's coming back this season, and they're a mess. Sacramento, but you just have to start winning some games.
Yeah. 5-5 from the Mavericks over the last 10. That isn't a mess. 2-8 is.
Well,
that's a mess.
They're a mess in that they're getting booed at home because their fans are angry at them. They're a different kind of mess.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.